Hey, what is up, everybody? Michael Crump back here again, bringing you the latest and the greatest in PlayStation 4 homebrew news and much, much more. So I saw this tweet the other day by Jose, and it said, make a backup of your PS4 before using MagicUSB. And it said that there were some instructions inside of the zip. And so I was very curious what this MagicUSB did. What I found out was that when you typically make a USB drive and you image it with exFAT-PICO, typically that USB drive is not accessible in order to put additional files on it. So you basically have to sacrifice an entire USB stick in order to run the PS4 9.00 exploit. With Jose's method here, you can use the remaining space of that USB drive in order to put other files, such as packages. So this may be a little bit confusing, so let's just go ahead and look at a demo of this. Okay, so here is the standard Win32 disk imager. And as you can see here, we have exFAT, hacks, pico.img, we have a USB drive that's plugged in. And so what we're going to do is we're going to simply write this image to our USB stick. So I'm going to go ahead and select write down here. And we're going to select yes, and it only takes just a second, and that write is successful. So we'll go ahead and we'll press OK here. Now, where this gets a little bit more interesting is that once you go to your File Explorer and you actually try to select on that USB drive after you have imaged it with Win32 Disk Imager, then you'll get this where it says, please insert a disk into the USB drive E. Again, now that disk is completely useless because it has an image file wrote to it that's only going to work with the PS4 9.00. So in other words, I can't put any more additional files onto this USB drive. Now let's take a look at the MagicUSB. So the very first thing that you're going to need to do is to download the magicusb.rar file. Again, the link for that will be in the description below. And then press the blue download button here, as I am doing, and then you should see magicusb.rar being downloaded. Now that that's complete, the very first thing that we're going to need to do is we're going to need to format a USB drive to exFAT format or to FAT32. I've went ahead and I've plugged in one of my USB drives into my port, and it's showing up right here at disk 1. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to right click and I'm going to go to format. And by the way, I'm just using disk management that is built into Windows. So if you just do a search for it, you should see this. Now I'm going to leave the volume label as it is. And then for the file system here, I'm going to select exFAT. Again, FAT32 would work. We're going to hit OK and OK here. And so now we have a drive that is drive D that is ready to be used. So back over on my hard disk drive, I've went ahead and I've created a folder called PS4 and then another folder inside of it with MagicUSB, and then placed the file that we just downloaded a moment ago. I've also included a PKG file that we'll use for testing that's inside of the PKG folder. So let's go to the magicusb.rar, and we will just right click it and we will just extract it to here. And we'll go inside MagicUSB and then MagicUSB again. And now we're going to right click on System Volume Information. We're going to select Copy. And now over on our USB drive, we're going to simply just paste that in. And so once you do that, you will see this dialog here that says replace the files in the destination. You are going to want to take that option. So let's go ahead and click there. All right, so now the files have been copied over. Again, the main thing to keep in mind is that now this drive D or my USB drive is still accessible. So now I can go ahead and I can navigate back to where we were just at. I'm going to go to the MagicUSB folder and then go into PKG. And I'm just going to right click on one of the packages that I already have. And now I can actually just paste that in to my USB drive. And so now, unlike before, our USB drive, we can continue to add additional files to it, and we can use that USB drive for other things now. So this is especially important if maybe you only had one large USB drive, you're currently using it for your PlayStation 4 9.00 exploit. Now you can continue to take advantage of the remaining space that's on that USB drive. Okay, so let's head over to the PlayStation 4 and let's run the exploit. Okay, so I'm just using Caro's host here. We're going to go to 9.00 gold. And now we're going to select Goldhen version 2.2.2. Again, don't insert the USB drive until you see a prompt that is telling you to do so. Okay, so here is the prompt. So one thing to note is that after you insert your USB drive, you aren't going to get the pop-up notification that you're probably accustomed to seeing. It will be absolutely silent. What I did for this example is that I just went ahead at this point and I inserted the USB drive, and then I waited roughly around 8 seconds, and then I took the USB drive out of the PlayStation 4, and then I pressed OK, and then the PS4 was then exploited. Okay, so again, no pop-up here. And now we will press the OK button. Okay, jailbreak done. We'll hit OK again here. And now we should see that it has been exploited. So there we go. Goldhen version 2.2.2 has been loaded, and the bin loader is listing on port 9090. We can go up and verify it inside of the settings, and there it is. Goldhen has been added. And so now I'm going to take that same USB drive and I'm going to plug it back into my PlayStation 4, and we're going to head over to PS4 Explorer, and we will be able to see that package file that we copied over. So let's go to PS4 Explorer, and there is the USB 0. We can see again the folder that we copied over earlier, which is the system volume information. And there is our remote package installer.pkg. That's just a test. So we can press X on that, and we could go ahead and install it if we wanted to. Okay, and so there we go. You can now use your USB thumbstick to store additional files as well as the exploit. Thanks so very much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Michael, out.